Ikaw ba ay isang empleyado, isang trabahante, isang worker, isang very, very masipag na empleyado? Or kahit ikaw ay isang business owner but you're working every day, you are still part of this group na nagtatrabaho sa araw-araw at merong mga stress sa katawan. However, merong isang number one stress na nagkakakos ng health problems sa atin. We will discuss that at aalamin natin kung bakit noong wala pa tayong trabaho, noong tayo ay estudyante pa lamang o noong tayo ay wala pang trabaho, naghahanap lang ng trabaho, hindi ganon kagrabe yung stress natin sa katawan. Ano yung difference? Ano ang pagkakaiba ng mga may trabaho at walang trabaho? I hope our audio is clear right now. And maraming salamat for all of you who are watching our live episodes dito sa YouTube because right now hindi pa tayo makakapag-live sa ating Facebook channel. So, number one stressor sa katawan, I know excited na kayo, pero first, tingnan natin ano ang usual nyong iniisip na stressor sa katawan. If you have idea kung ano ito, you can put it in the comments. Because when it comes to working, number one na iniisip ng iba would be the physical stress, especially sa mga hard labored work like construction worker o di kaya nung mga magsasaka. Those are the physical stresses in our body. Pero actually, hindi yun number one because sa mga karamihan sa atin ngayon, especially sa mga merong access to internet and phones, most likely, hindi physical ang trabaho ninyo. So, how come na yung mga nakaupo lamang sa opisina ay meron pa ring a lot of stressors and health problems the moment na nagtatrabaho sila? Because it is physical stress na actually sanay yung katawan natin. That's why kapag ikaw ay puro physical stress lamang, you can actually develop muscles. You can actually develop endurance. Mas mataas yung inyong tolerance when it comes to physical stress. I know people na walang physical stress in work. That's why they go to the gym. And gym exercise is physical stress. And we already know that exercise can do so much for our health. So that is why yung physical na stress sa katawan, hindi actually yung number one na stressor. Also, mental stress. We have deadlines. Kung kayo ay nagtatrabaho sa opisina, in the corporate world, or in your home business, mental stress can also cause stress sa katawan natin. Pero, hindi rin ito number one because as compared to students, nung tayo ay meron ding mga deadlines, meron din natin kailangang i-address na mga i-submit na mga projects, we also have a lot of mental stress. Pero bakit wala tayong mga problema na katulad ng problema natin ngayon na tayo ay nagtatrabaho na? Because there is actually difference between someone na merong physical stressor at mental stressor na walang trabaho at taong merong physical stressor at mental stressor na may trabaho. So, ano yung pagkakaiba na yon? I think you can already see the difference. Simple lang. Yung taong merong trabaho ay meron ng sweldo. And kapag merong sweldo, ano ang number one? Usually, na iniisip natin kapag tayo ay stress at kapag ito ay sweldo na. Because when it comes to stress, number one, comfort natin. Ano ba yung number one comfort na naiisip natin agad-agad? Especially sa mga baguhan pa lang na hindi pa nagsisimulang mag-change ng lifestyle. It is usually food. Food is our number one source of comfort. Kapag tayo ay stress, kapag tayo ay pagod na pagod, feeling natin we deserve good food. Ito na yung pinaghirapan ko, ito na yung pinagtrabahuan ko, and now I can enjoy all the food that I want, especially that I work hard for it. So yes, of course, it's good naman. Tama naman yon that you nourish your body. But it's just that anong pagkain ang naiisip mo? Ano ang comfort food mo? Ano yung number one na pumapasok sa isip mo when you are stressed and you want to indulge, you want to reward yourself? 'Di ba? Be honest with yourself. Usually, yung comfort food na naiisip natin, is actually not the best para sa ating katawan. So, the number one stressor actually sa katawan ng mga nagtatrabaho is not just the physical stress, it's not just the mental stress, but it is actually the stress of overeating. Overeating is the number one stressor sa ating katawan when we are already working, because when we are already working, meron na tayong budget. Sino sa inyo na nung college ay parang butot balat and marami ring pinoproblema, marami ring stressor, pero hindi nagkakasakit? Yes, I know factor ang edad, but there is another factor that is not related to age, and that is your metabolism and the degree of inflammation sa inyong katawan. And this is highly dictated by the quality of food that you are eating. Because when you are actually overeating, yung katawan natin ay hindi na kayang mai-address yung stress na pinagdadaanan nito. Because physical stress, mental stress, madali lang pong ma-overcome yan ng ating katawan. Itutulog lang niya, ipapahinga lang niya, another day, you are ready. Kayang-kaya mo nang magsimula ulit. However, if you are overeating, hindi makaka-focus yung katawan natin sa needed repair, sa needed na reboot para tayo ay maging fresh ulit and ready for the next day. Because when you are overeating, especially overeating when it comes to our meal timing, especially na bago tayo matulog, after work, dinner, pagod na pagod tayo whole day, those can actually lead us into having a not so restful sleep. Sorry, we cut a little. So, importante, alam natin that when it comes to our food intake, when it comes to our stressors, our body is capable. Kayang-kaya ng katawan natin. Physical stress, maganda yan. Emotional, mental stress, okay lang din. Although, it's another thing na we will discuss in another video na kailangan din natin mai-address. Pero, the worst part, if you pair it up with overeating, kasi hindi na magkakaroon ng chance yung ating katawan to repair itself. Because actually, when we are eating, digestion itself, sobrang taxing yan. Mahal yung babayaran ng katawan natin when it comes to blood flow para ma-digest yung food. Because we know food is very essential for survival. Kailangan natin siya para mabuhay. That was before na hindi pa tayo ganoon ka-accessible when it comes to food. Noong unang panahon, walang available food 24/7. Walang Grab, walang delivery. That is why kapag tayo ay hindi mindful at parati lang tayong kumakain, then most likely during nighttime, this is emphasizing mostly sa habits when we eat after our work before we rest. Kapag tayo ay nag-overeat sa panahon na yon, yung blood flow natin, yung lahat ng energy ng katawan na natitira natin, na dapat sana ay ilaan niya sa pag-ayos ng mga nasira during the day for the rest and repair ng ating katawan, hindi na mangyayari dahil there is abundance of blood supply na papunta lang sa pag-digest ng pagkain. At yung nangyayari, yung kailangang part ng ating utak na kailangan mag-replenish, yung kailangang part ng ating body that needs cleansing, hindi na ito natutuloy because yung blood flow nga, yung allocation ng ating katawan, ng ating energy na natitira after we are exhausted during the day ay napupunta lang sa pag-digest. Additional problem is that when we are overeating, we are also increasing our anabolic hormone. Iniisip ng katawan natin that it is harvest season. At ano ang ibig sabihin ng harvest season? Your body will tend to make you sluggish, to make you just rest. Gusto niyang magpahinga ka lang and it will just activate the storing mechanism. Iso-store lang niya at iso-store yung mga pagkain na nakain mo kasi iniisip niya na harvest season ngayon, And meaning, ngayon yung panahon ng pag-iimbak. You're not supposed to do so much kasi inilalaan niya ito on fasting season, sa panahon na hindi na harvest season. That is why our body is not adjusting well sa modern day life natin ngayon. Kasi noong unang panahon, I'm saying millions of years ago, not just 100 years, not just 1,000 years, not just 2,000 years, but millions of years ago, kung paano na-develop yung ating pangangatawan, ay sanay ito sa pag-aayuno. Sanay ito sa mga panahon na walang pagkain. That's why our body cannot tolerate overeating, the stress of too much food abundance. Harvest season kasi, nakalaan lang yan, dapat once a year. Kung more than once a year lang, maybe maximum twice a year, but it's seldom na 3-4 times, or most importantly, hindi all year round. And if you are overeating all year round for the last decades of your lives, most likely you are sending a signal sa iyong katawan na you are just in a perpetual harvest season. Kaya yung ating progress, if nakikita ninyo, based on hindi lang sa overall weight, but on the level of circumference, yung ating level ng ating tiyan. So, kasi maraming iba na hindi naman lumalaki, hindi naman tumataba, pero yung tiyan, because the circumferential na measurement ng ating tiyan, our abdominal girth sa level ng ating pusod, those are indicators of visceral fats. Visceral fats is ito yung naiimbak na bad fats sa ating katawan, and there are even people na kahit hindi ganon kalakihan yung tiyan, but if you have elevation of triglycerides and VLDL sa katawan, those are still stored fats na nanggaling sa too much food intake, especially the wrong kinds of food. That is why if you want to correct the number one stressor sa katawan natin, pwede pa rin kumain, pwede pa rin mag-celebrate, at hindi nyo kailangan magbitiw sa inyong trabaho. Magpatuloy tayong magtrabaho, but actually, what we just need to do is to strike a balance to it. And there's two things that you can do since overeating yung number one stressor natin. Number one na pwede rin natin gawin to address this one is to time your first and last meal. Pwede ka pa rin kumain, pwede ka pa rin mag-enjoy, but you should put a time limit. Hindi pwedeng 24/7 tulad ng convenience store. Hindi pwedeng all time, all day, every day available yung food. You should time your first meal, just like kung paano kumakain on yung mga ancestors natin, which are the caveman, which are the hunter-gatherers, and generally, sa umaga, pagising nila, wala pang available na pagkain yan. So if you can just delay your breakfast to as late as possible na kaya mo, you can do so. And your last meal naman, you can make it as early as possible. So yun yun. Because for us, yung breakfast natin very early, and we are also very, very late when it comes to eating our dinner. So actually, that is when overeating happens. And this is also the same effect kahit minsan hindi ganon karamihan yung mga kinakain, especially sa mga mindful na nagiging health conscious na hindi na sila kumakain ng maramihan, but you are actually eating in a spread out period, meaning mas malaki yung oras na nilalaan ninyo na pwede kayong kumain in a 24 hours than the time that you are not eating. So minimum to start, you can just have at least 12 hours ng time ng inyong pagkain from your breakfast to your dinner. So, minimum yan. So, for example, kung 7 kayo mag-breakfast ng umaga, then you can already end your dinner by 7 o'clock. So, that's already 12 hours. But if you still have a lot of corrections sa inyong katawan, or kung hindi pa kayo nakagawa ng intermittent fasting and lifestyle change before, you want to have a reboot, a start para ma-freshen up yung katawan ninyo, or if you still need some healing, meron ng dinaramdam na sakit, meron ng mga signs and symptoms of lifestyle disease, yung pre-diabetic or pre-hypertensive, merong sluggishness when it comes to brain function, nagiging makalimutin, na parati na lang sumasakit yung likod, hindi na hindi na ganon ka-alert when it comes to mornings, you can increase your fasting window. So, ibig sabihin, from 7 to 7, for example, baka pwede nyo nang simulan na mag-breakfast ng 8 or 9 in the morning, and yung dinner ninyo, gawin yung mas maaga, maybe by 6 o'clock, pwede na. You can also time it according to your work schedule. As long as you try to make it consistent, that can still help. I know yung iba mahirap kasi traffic, kasi merong ganyan, merong ganito. Excuses will always be there. Kung sa excuse lang, ako sa lahat ng tao, pinalaki kaming sobrang sobrang tinatanong kung ano yung mga rason namin sa buhay. That's why when we do something, hindi pwedeng walang rason. But it also made us have this tendency to make a lot of excuses. So, naging sobrang magaling kami to make excuses. That's why it also took some time for us to change our lifestyle. Kasi nga, parating may excuse. So, yes, kapag may, anong sabi nun? Kapag gusto, may paraan. Kapag ayaw, may dahilan. So, it's up to you. But you know yourself. Alam ninyo kung meron na kayong pangangailangang improvement sa inyong health, and only time will tell kung kailan nyo itong gustong simulan. So, for me, it is a very good na strategy to delay my breakfast to as late as possible, and also make my dinner as early as possible to strike a balance with overeating. Because if you want to eat, if you really want to reward yourself with food, then you can do so. But at least time your meals, okay? So that is eating your breakfast as late as possible and eating your last meal as early as possible. Depending on your health status sa katawan and your need to cleanse your body, pwede nyo itong maging as early as possible, meaning to shorten your eating window as much as you can. So you can eat in just 4 hours window. Like, yung unang meal ninyo is ngayon na, around lunchtime, 12 noon, 1 o'clock, and then you can already close your window at 5 or 6 o'clock. My sister is very, 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 very busy with work. Sobrang dami niyang workload in the corporate world. She's one of the closest to me na nagtatrabaho talaga sa opisina. So I know her life so well. That's why nung nagsimula kami mag-intermittent fasting, people are actually very worried about her kasi hindi na siya kumakain ng lunchtime. But for her, she discovered that when she is not eating, that is the time when she is most productive. Kasi sa mga panahon na tayo ay hindi kumakain, di ba? Noon, kapag hindi ka pa naka-low carb and fasting, you are usually thinking na umiinit yung ulo mo, parang sobrang bad mood ka. But actually, that is already hunter activation, hunting mode activated ka na. And you can refocus that. As long as you know, kapag meron ka, yung sinasabi ko kaparate, kakapain mo lang yung arms mo o yung pisngi mo. As long as hindi pa butot balat yan, you still have that allowance to fast a little more. So, wag kayong matakot. Your body can get its necessary supply of energy coming from your own. Yung nakaimbak na yan for the longest of time na hindi pa tayo nagbabago ng ating lifestyle. And she discovered na when she is not eating breakfast and lunchtime, she is skipping those time, aside from the time that you will save socializing. Kasi kapag kakain ka ng lunch, magpaplano pa lang kayo kung saan kakain, ano yung kakainin. After, kakain na kayo. And then after, meron pang post-meal na mga chikahan. And by the time you get back to your workstation, you are already sleepy, inaantok ka na, and your productivity might kick in baka after an hour na. So that's actually losing productivity, losing time work. If you are a business owner, makikita nyo yan, the before and after break na time, yun yung pinaka-least productive ng mga tao. So, hindi naman sa gugutumin nyo sila, but at least you make them aware. But don't worry, pwede pa rin. May paraan pa rin kung paano sila maging productive even when they are eating on break times, and that is the quality of food that you are eating. So the second thing that you can do to solve your stress from overeating is to eat real foods. Kumain ng totoong pagkain, hindi yung pagkain na kung ipapakita natin sa isang caveman ay hindi niya ma-identify na pagkain ito. So, ano yung real food? Real food are the ones na, yon yung example natin. Kung ito ay ipapakita mo kay Tarzan, ipapakita mo sa caveman, makikilala niya na yes, ito ay pagkain talaga. So ano yun? It's actually very good. Seafood, meat, chicken, eggs, vegetables, those are real food. Fruits, it is a real food, but remember, harvest season, hindi yan all throughout the year. So when you consider fruit, dapat isipin niyo muna, harvest season ba ito? Totoo bang naturally harvest season ito dito sa ating locality? Kasi if it is grapes or if it's orange, wala naman yan sa Pilipinas. Wala naman yan sa kung saan ka pinanganak. So actually, hindi mo kailangan i-indulge yan. Kahit banana, saging is available in the Philippines all year round. But nung unang panahon, you cannot really expect na merong saging every corner na makikita mo na it is highly available. Yes, it could be available, but it's not that abundant. Kaya kailangan, when it comes to real food, choose the food that are mostly available all year round. So ano yun? So the meat, poultry products, the seafood, kasi napapalibutan yung Pilipinas ng tubig, and vegetables, green leafy vegetables, those are the best that you can eat. So any of that, alisin na natin sa mindset natin na yung snacks ay dapat pwede mo lang initin sa microwave na sandwich or maliliit lang like biscuits. No, because those are actually not real food. Yun ay naging our processed na. Processed food, hindi na natin alam kung anong laman yan. And that is also the reason why kung ano-ano na lang pinaglalagay natin sa ating katawan, sabihin natin na, ay, biskwit lang yung kinain ko sa isang araw. Pero titingnan mo yung ingredients ng biskwit na yan, sobrang dami. At yung mga ingredients niya, hindi pa natin kilala. Because mostly, it's all already chemicals na hindi natin alam kung ano magiging impact natin sa ating katawan. But research are repeatedly showing that processed foods and ultra-processed foods is highly linked in inflammatory diseases. So, yun yung pwede natin gawin. Just eat real food. Kung ayaw yung isipin na avoid this, avoid that, just eat real food. And those are the considerations that you can think of. The real food na available all year round, and kung pwede, hindi kailangan complicated processing. Isang grill lang, isang prito lang, luto na, pwede mo nang kainin. Or even, better yet, if you can eat it raw, all the more, all the better. So, that is our discussion for today. I hope you learned something. That's the number one stressor sa katawan na mga nagtatrabaho, na nagsisweldo, na meron ng mga budget is actually overeating. And the two ways that you can do para ma-correct ito, to balance it, would be to time your meals as long as 12 hours in a day to as short as 1 to 2 hours in a day. Depende sa healing na inyong pangangailangan. And the second part is to eat real food. Ngayon, when it comes to low carb, I still get to ask, no? Marami pa rin nagtatanong, especially sa mga bago ko palang nakikilala. When they ask me how long I've been doing this, I usually say going 4 years now, and they are surprised. So I usually answer after na, actually, kaming lahat sa family. Even my brothers and sisters and their in-laws, halos meron na ring low carb and fasting lifestyle. Kahit hindi siya as strict, but at least meron na. So the rest of the family are also doing it. So why do I say that? Because I say that because it is really sustainable. It can really be done. And next question na tinatanong, ikaw, Doc, nag-cheat ka rin ba? So I usually answer, I really don't cheat because there's no need to cheat. Hindi ko na siya iniisip. Dahil alam niyo ba kung bakit? It's not just the absence of craving. Kasi kung sa craving lang, from time to time, meron pa rin. Kasi nga, yung whenever you're stressed, your body is looking for something pleasurable. And the number one pleasure-seeking na iniisip natin is usually sugar, yung mga matatamis, especially that I'm a sweet tooth, na noon, kung makain ako ng cake, yung kinakain ko, yung icing lamang because yun lang yung matamis. Ganon ako kaka-addict sa sugar before. And I admit, I still have those cravings. Hindi ko sinasabing wala na akong ganyang cravings. But I don't cheat because I know now na if ever I will crave for sweets, most likely, asin lang yung kailangan ko. So I usually have a salt fix. And if ever hindi talaga matanggal because maybe during that time, meron akong extra stressor, then I eat sweet, but it is usually low carb sweets. So we can have real sweet like berries, strawberries, or blueberries. Or kung hindi talaga maiwasan, you can get low carb sweets. So I usually have with me yung mga low carb sweet na available, or just the pack na to sweeten, for example, my tea. That is already good enough sweet fix for me. So yung pinaka-cheat ko na would be low carb sweeteners. Yun na yun. But after that one, there's no need, because when you actually start to appreciate, to eat real food, you will also be craving real food, because the more you eat, the more you crave it. And when you eat real foods, and when you also do fasting, you will realize na there's so many good things in our low carb lifestyle na sobrang sarap kainin. I usually tell my family and friends and my loved ones na my perpetual problems when it comes to food is there's so much good food, but there is too little time. So yun lang yung concern. Too much good food but too little time, and too much good nutritious food. You just have to learn it, to know it, and to start eating it so that you will become acquainted to it. Magiging masanay kayo, and you will see that yung mga masarap na pagkain na yon, na healthy na pagkain na yon, is more than enough than you'll ever crave for. So for those of you na baguhan pa lang, you can join our Life Without Rice na Facebook group for food inspirations, and for fasting naman ng mga motivations and needs. You can join Low Carb Feasting and Fasting Community. So always know yourself. You have to be inspired always why you want to be healthy. Stay positive as always. Have faith. Consult your doctor if necessary. Get a coach kung kailangan nyo ng gabay. And a community. And we are here to provide you with that online community, and always keep the faith. For those naman na nangangailangan ng guidance, and especially who wants to become part of our exclusive group kung saan kino-coach ko ito in a way, because we do live Q&A every week sa ating masterclass group. You can join our LCF masterclass by yours truly. Right now, you can contact them via email and via our Facebook account so that you can be a part of that online community. So, maraming salamat everyone. That's our topic for today. Number one stressor sa katawan, sa mga workers, working class, and 2 ways to balance it and correct it. I hope you were able to learn something today, and you can share it with your loved ones, dahil hindi excuse ang physical stress and mental stress for us to get sick dahil tayo ay nagtatrabaho na. We can easily address emotional, psychological, mental, even financial problems and physical workload, as long as we give our body and our mind the needed rest, the needed break that it needs. And minsan, yung break na kailangan natin is break from food, especially break from wrong kinds of food. So thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Have a great week ahead. We are live here in Bangkok, and I'll see you in our next video. Hopefully, still the same time tomorrow. I hope we can make it more regular. I'll see you in YouTube. See you always, and have a positive mindset when it comes to your health. Always remember to stay low carb so that we all stay safe. Goodbye, everyone.